forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Main. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay. Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack making backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the Vato speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby Main. Just caught a touchdown from the Bay.
And then, the Paul Pierce thing. Like that was like right after each other where he had got stabbed.
I mean, it all started, I was young, hanging out all the time, going to the clubs, and so it was a night when I went in Buzz Club, and I caught myself talking to some young ladies. I'm single at the time. Next thing I know, one of the young ladies, I don't know if it's her dude, I don't know what. Next thing I know, a guy approached me like, that's like, you don't talk to her. And I'm like, what? And she like I don't really mess with dude. Like, next thing you know, I'm in a tussle with him. It happened so fast, man.
That's how I normally
It happened so fast. I don't even know how I got into it. It's just one dude right here. The next thing I know, the story come out, I was fighting with 3 guys. Once it was all over with, it's over, I'm standing up. I didn't even know I was being stabbed. And so I look up, I got a jacket on. I look up, and my jacket is red, blood everywhere. I'm coming leaking down my face. I can really keep my eyes open. And they like, you stabbed, you need to go to the hospital.
Well, sources say Pierce's attacker is an associate of MadeMan. The rap group is denying any involvement in the stabbing.
And again, MadeMan.
MadeMan is a rap group based here in Boston. They have roots that go back to the Dorchester section of the city. They were implicated last April in violence that broke out at a rap concert at the Fleet Center, and they denied then and they deny now any involvement in that incident.
On Monday afternoon, a Suffolk grand jury returned indictments against Mr. Miranda as well as 15 other individuals involved in what we believe is a violent narcotics distribution ring that has plagued the streets of Boston in recent years. This group of individuals, indicated to my right, charged in this case include impact players and other associates of a violent Boston street gang known as the Magnolia Stealers. Working with Boston Police, the Attorney General's office, along with state police, used the latest in electronic surveillance to target this street gang, and we hope that the result will be safer streets in Boston. This morning, 100 Massachusetts State Police and Boston police officers conducted a coordinated arrest sweep, taking into custody 7 of the individuals who were indicted on Monday. 8 of the others are already in custody on other matters.
Yeah, we back. Shit got Popalot. Mobb gang. We on our way to Massachusetts with it. Boston to be exact. Dorchester to be more exact. Y'all meet us at the Buzz Club. Shit going down. Now, today I'm going to be covering a subject that at the time it occurred, a lot of people, me included, was one of the most mysterious, untalked about situations in hip-hop history. Now, at the time of this incident, which was late September of the year 2000, the urban magazine, The Source, which I was raised on, was one of, if not the biggest hip-hop publication of that time and possibly all time, which was founded by a guy by the name of David Mays, would go on to be co-owned by a guy by the name of Raymond Scott, who would eventually go on to be known to the world as Benzino. Now, Benzino, who most people probably know from the hip-hop reality show Love and Hip Hop, if not that, it would possibly be because he's the father of current pop star Coi Leray. But before all of that, you can probably say that Benzino had 2 lives in the game, maybe 3. He would get his start as a part of the production team, Hangman 3. It would be right around that time where Benzino was trying to make a name for himself, and The Source was going on to be the top publication in hip-hop, where Benzino would find himself smack dab in the middle of that untalked about hip-hop mystery that I spoke about earlier. And that incident would be the stabbing of the Boston Celtics 22-year-old star forward Paul Pierce. Now, the first signs of Benzino ever picking up a microphone would be with a group, the almighty RSO, that would eventually change their name to MadeMan. Now, a lot of people probably ask themselves, how did Benzino end up on a show like Love and Hip Hop Atlanta when he's not from Atlanta? And you might can point to the Paul Pierce situation, and that'll tell you everything that you need to know. Because at the time of the stabbing, the police would go on to closely associate the group MadeMan with the stabbing of Paul Pierce. And as you heard Benzino say in his own words, they had his face plastered everywhere, associating him with the assault on Paul Pierce. And he determined it was probably smart for him to get out of Boston. Now, just as Benzino, who has never been implicated in the stabbing of Paul Pierce, was leaving the city, a person that would go on to be named a bodyguard and an associate of the MadeMan, Trevor Watson, would be one of 3 men who authorities would charge for the alleged attack on Paul Pierce at Club Buzz. Now, during this alleged attack that saw Paul Pierce being stabbed in his neck, chest, and back allegedly, Trevor Watson would be the person identified as stabbing Paul Pierce in the back 7 times, would be facing attempted murder, where he would go on to plead not guilty. He would eventually take that case to trial and beat it. But his luck would essentially begin to run out in 2009 when he would be indicted as part of a drug conspiracy targeting a group by the name of the Magnolia Street Stealers, or the Magnolia Stealers. Now, I'm not quite sure of his role in the specific group or the amount of time he was facing in that case, but on February 27th, 2010, that will become the least of his worries, because Watson, who had been at Ann's Unisex Barbershop on Tremont Street in Boston South End, would run into somebody who he had believed had been cooperating with the government. According to court testimony, it would be then when Trevor Watson would go on to ask the man, who essentially was cooperating with the government and was a DEA informant, "You talking, huh? You telling?" while proceeding to go on to stab the informant upwards of 10 times. Now, it will be at his trial for the attempted murder of this DEA informant, where the government will find letters he had written home to his associates saying, "I introduced my lawyer to the fact that if the victim in my case was to sign an affidavit saying that I'm not the guy who stabbed him, it was some Spanish guy about 30, which I am either, I would be all right." Going on to say the Paul Pierce case was the same way, but at trial, he changed his statements, and I got found not guilty of that attempted murder. Now, one of the big differences in this case and the Paul Pierce case was he was fighting the federal government, and let's just say that the second go-around was nothing like the first go-around, because Trevor Watson, who was 44 at the time, would end up being sentenced to the statutory minimum of 30 years in prison for that attempt murder. Now, I want to say that I think this case was so big back in 2000 because it crossed two lifestyles that normally crossed, but not like they did on that night in September in 2000. And that's the NBA and the rap industry. Now, if anybody was around at that time or remember this incident or was in the city of Boston or ever been to the Buzz Club, y'all get in the comment box. Let it be known. Give them a glimpse of the city. Y'all know what it is with me. It's your boy Popalot. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, POP_A_LOT. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trill spill is dropping. And y'all already know y'all got to flood the comment box. Let me know what cities I haven't been to, what stories I haven't covered, what gangsters I missed, what I got wrong, all of that. And I'm going to be back ASAP. Y'all already know what it is with him. Mobb gang.